Welcome to
House of Whimsical Terror.
I'm Esther.
I'm Mary.
And we're coming to you today from Tucson, Arizona, in my very own backyard. Again, this is part of our Tucson Campfire Series. So welcome, friends. And we are surrounded by friends and family who have wonderfully eerie stories.
Yes.
And someone that I talk about the supernatural and the eerie and the uncanny with often is Cindy.
Hi.
And she has a story I tell over and over again when I'm telling stories to people, but it's her story. I just co-opt it and tell it. And we are naming, I've always called it Old Jeb, but we are naming it, thanks to Sophia, Peach Ice Cream. And it's very scary.
All right.
Well, hello, Esther and Mary. Thank you for having me back.
Thanks for coming back.
I have so many stories that Esther, I think, has heard them all. So I really appreciate when she asked me to tell one. So I grew up in a small town in East Texas called Channelview, Texas. Used to, when I grew up, Channelview was outside of Houston. You had to drive into Houston, but now Houston has encompassed so much space that it's, I think, part of Houston. But it, at the time of my growing up, a million years ago, was a small town and people knew each other. And there was a particular character who wandered around town. And honestly, I don't remember this man's name. If anybody listening to this podcast grew up in Channelview and you know this man's name, please reach out to Esther and Mary and let them know.
Yes.
So lovingly, we call him Old Jeb. But Old Jeb was a man that I never met in person, but I saw so many times as a kid. He was a character. He was an older man with gray, shaggy hair and a gray beard, and often in overalls that were kind of dirty, like jean overalls. And he walked around town leading his donkey.
As you do,
right?
Yeah, in a small town.
You lead it around town. You did. As the cars passed, he would wave at every car that passed. As you do in small towns, you wave at people as they pass.
Mm-hmm.
So he was a fixture in town, and I have no idea what his backstory was, but he was just this old kind of raggedy guy who walked his donkey all around town and waved at people. And so there was a time that my grandfather went to the store one morning to get something. It was a convenience store. He went to a convenience store very quickly to get, bread or coffee or a gallon of milk or whatever you go to a convenience store to get. And my grandmother was at home reading the local newspaper. We had a little local newspaper. My grandfather was gone for an extended amount of time, to just be running up to the convenience store and grabbing an item or two. And so when my grandfather got home, my grandmother said, "Where have you been? You've been gone for a long time." He said, "Oh, well, I ran into Old Jeb at the convenience store." She's like, "You did?" He said, yeah. And she's like, "Well, tell me more about that." And he said, "Well, he was outside the convenience store with his donkey. He was actually cleaned up. He was dressed in a pair of starched khakis and a starched white dress shirt. And he was eating a container of peach ice cream right out of the container. But he was the kind of guy that, a person that, needed friendship and community. So if he saw you and he knew you, he would stop you and just chat for a bit and not let you go, So he stopped my grandfather, but he was eating this peach ice cream, and my grandfather said he kept talking about the meat in his freezer, how he was worried about the meat in his freezer. I'm sure I wasn't there, but my grandfather was doing the, yeah, okay.
Right.
And my grandmother's like, "Really?" He's like, yeah, he just kept eating his peach ice cream and talking about the meat in his freezer and how he was worried about it. And my grandmother opened the newspaper, and there was an obituary. And this man had passed away recently, and he was found with his freezer. He had one of the chest freezers open, and he was found passed away, bent over, halfway in the freezer.
Mm.
Wow.
So apparently my grandfather said, well, that can't be right. I just saw him. My grandma was like, well, it's obituary. And her was like, no, that can't be right. That can't be right. I just saw him. I just spoke to him. I just saw him.
Oh, wow.
But the man had passed away, and he was worried about the meat in his freezer going bad.
Oh.
And he was in there getting out the peach ice cream.
He was eating his peach ice cream in his starched white shirt, which was not something he normally looked kind of cringy, but he was in his, I'm assuming, clothing that he was buried in.
Sure.
To have buried him, and so he was in his clean starched clothing.
Wow.
Concerned
What a
about somebody
story.
go check on that meat in his freezer.
Wow.
My grandfather didn't say, but I am from East Texas, so I am sure it was Bluebell. I mean, why even bother if it's not?
There you go. Oh my goodness, that was an amazing story. That is creepy.
It is
so
Very creepy. Yeah.
Makes me want some peach ice cream.
It makes me want some meat.
You want to walk around town with a donkey too?
No.
She probably would. She'd be like, if she could have a pet donkey, it would fit right in, really.
Yeah. We could have a donkey back here.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I was a kid, and this man was not a family member. He was just a fixture of the town. So I really don't know what he went through his donkey.
Someone was wondering why he was talking to a donkey.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh, I hope the donkey was okay.
Mary,
That's a
bring me back.
spooky story. And we would have you over and over because I know that you have a just phenomenal number of stories that you have experienced and collected.
It's been a lifetime
Yeah.
of supernatural.
Yeah. And obviously it runs in your family. Apparently your grandfather was busy talking to folks.
Well, I am told that my great-grandmother gave psychic readings as part of her income.
Oh,
I absolutely believe that. I really think for you it's genetic.
I think that you're right.
Yeah, I think it is. Well, thank you, and you will be back. Yes. And thank you to our listeners who have listened to us for over 100 episodes.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. All right, and we'll have more stories coming at you. But that's all for today. Bye.